Alrighty, should be live. Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, so that means some more hobbying. Necromunda might be getting a new edition, but that doesn't change what we're doing in the meantime. And who knows what it'll change later. But what we're doing right now is continuing with our hazard stripes. Now, I am determined not to make this a stream entirely about hazard stripes, because that would be kind of boring. So, I'm almost done, too. Let me see. I've got 2 more tiles of hazard stripes to do. Which is nothing, really. Especially if I get lazy and use... Here, I can zoom out a little bit. Nope, other way. There we go, so you can see the whole darn thing. If I get lazy and use the bigger tape, which I'm going to. Honestly, I also just like this tape better. Although for this one down here, it's got a little square on it. So, might be better to actually keep that one as small tape. Now, the real big question is, do I want different hazard stripe styles on a given board? Because if I don't... Wait 1 second. Hold on. Alright, there we go. Sorry, my levels were a little low. Okay. Yeah, but with the new edition, streamlines again remove hazard stripes. Then I will ignore them. Same thing I'll do if they do anything I don't like. You know. That is the thing. We just don't have enough information to make any kind of judgment call. And you know, if so, a lot of people are saying that what they're doing looks like the book monetization. Because that is going to be what it's all about, right? It's like, because we've all bought all these books and stuff, and I don't know about you, but if they just do all the house books again, well, I'll probably just not buy the books. Just Rundown does not in any way, shape, or form condone piracy, but, you know, what you do in your own home is your own business. But, like, I don't think I want to buy, because, you know, there's six main gangs, and if they each get their own book again, that's 6 times at least $60, possibly $70, and then you look at another $400 just to keep playing. No, I don't think I'll be doing much with that. But I have a suspicion, some people are saying that it is going to be more like Horus Heresy in the way they do their books, which is a little less that. So, I don't know. As I knew in the title, as I put in the title, I knew that this is not going to be a stream about the new edition, but it's going to come up, right? Like, because, you know, we're all interested to see what happens. As long as you're not that guy in the comments who was calling other people very mean things because they weren't quick enough to be hateful on it. But yeah, you know, that is the nice thing, is that the community's kind of been patching Necromunda for a long time, so if we don't like, or rather I should say, if you don't like, the new edition, just don't play it. Just play the old one. And all those books, you know, that material is available online somewhere or another. Does absolutely highlight just their book-based economy nowadays, which I am not a fan of. Blessed is the mind too small for doubt. Yeah. Not me. My mind has so much doubt in it. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I realize I'm off screen with this. Let me see if I can get this. There you go. Wait, why am I only doing one of these? Let's see if we can do something a little fun here. And see if I can do I kind of want to try a triangle pattern, but I also just kind of want to get this flipping thing done. I'm kind of over it. I've been doing hazard stripes for quite a while. So yeah, we're just gonna... I don't... So those of you who are in Europe and have been putting up with the heat wave for the past few weeks. Today is our karmic day that's about to hit here in the American Midwest. So I'll be joining you in being melted and miserable, I'm sure. Might slow down my painting a bit if things get hot enough in my apartment. A, I get miserable, and then B, things stop drying appropriately. And when that happens, like, it's all out doing fun things during your hobby time, it's more likely than you think. So, stick this down in here. I am going to invert. I am Scottish and of German heritage. This weather has nearly killed me off. Yeah, then folks in Europe I know are. It doesn't matter what, the AC discourse, the air conditioning discourse is exhausting. But I can tell you this much, it doesn't matter what you have access to when it feels like 40 C or 105 degrees Fahrenheit plus. It doesn't, there's nothing really that's going to save you. That you're not going to feel miserable. And yeah, I spent all day outside working and to get some stuff done. I'm going to be working all day outside today after this stream just to try and get some last minute things done that I know will just result in my death if I try to do them the next 3 days. Now, however, we're very lucky here where it's only going to last like 3 days. After that, it's going to break for a storm. So something American exceptionalism even applies to the weather. I don't know. I am going to reverse, because I realized all of my hazard stripes have been yellow in the middle, black on the edges, so I'm going to flip that for these. Or more specifically, what I'm going to do is... Okay, there we go. Do we want these to point 2 different ways, or... Nah, they can all point the same way. Screw it. Actually, what I should do is, keep the, keep them kind of cross-compatible here, so the illusion of inverted hair stripe is not inverted. Not gonna lie, had to drag myself away from playing Satisfactory to do this. My brain is thinking about conveyor lines right now, and production. I started playing Dark Tide. I mean, it is really fun. Like, I haven't been playing much because I just haven't had time to do video games that are online. And the video games I have been doing have been the, like, Satisfactory because I've been on a survival game kick. Or a crafty game kick. I guess Satisfactory doesn't have a lot of survival. Anyway, that new Skatar DLC is kind of everything we wanted from that. It's a very flexible, fun class that really captures the weird of Warhammer in a way that kind of makes it clear why we actually play these games. Let's Game It Out has into the chat the mention of Satisfactory. I mean, the Skatar DLC has me thinking unwise thoughts about picking up some Adeptus Mechanicus to paint. I'll tell you what. Even though I know that they're fiddly, and I know they're a pain in the butt to paint and to build, and I know they're not very good in game, but man, that and Kiddo Paints, who does the most adorable Skatari in the world. Gotta get in your video game time before the heat kicks in and turning on the PC and pumping more heat in the room starts feeling like a mistake. Yes, and as it stands today, the real heat wave has not really started. But even today, just playing that, which is normally runs fine on my PC, it was kind of screaming a little hot in kind of a worrying way, actually. Well, I'm going to try a different black for, I don't know, the halibut. Where's my coal black? There you are. Yeah, I have a feeling what will happen over the next few days is it gets really hot. I'll go down to the game store and hang out there and paint rather than be in my room. Because my apartment gets way too hot. Okay, let's get some... Obviously, this is going over a satin varnish, which means it's not going to stick with the darn, so it's going to look awful until the second coat. But the Pro Acryl is carrying me through here. Oops. Get on there. Yeah, brushstrokes aplenty, but that's okay because it's just the first layer, and we know it's gonna do that. Okay. Oops. Okay. And I think... I don't know what's going to get... I haven't checked, actually, what's getting announced today. Probably should have. To make sure I still have to record it at 3 o'clock with Mitchell, because if there's a giant nothing, I will not bother. Flip this around. I'm going to get a layer in, then I'll check. The problem with satin is it doesn't make the tape stick either. I always go back and forth of just about painting hazard stripes over the little details like that, because you probably wouldn't in real life, but it's Necromunda. Who cares what you do in real life? Someone got told to paint over that hatch even if it makes no sense. Okay. Now, once again, we're going to do the thing that we always mistakenly not do, and let this fully dry for a second coat. And let's bring out our last of the tiles. Yeah, it's very true. In the real life, the workers painting the hazard stripes wouldn't care and would paint over everything. I should paint things in landlord gray for realism. I wonder if you could just have, like, completely horizontal hazard stripes. Let's try that. Surely you've seen the photos of people not moving sticks off the road and painting traffic markers. Oh yeah, no, that's a very good point. I guess I was forgetting. There's a highway around here that has micro bumps in it because the people who paved it just didn't smooth anything out, and so it is like nauseating to drive on. So, you know, that's great. Really feel cared for. I have a feeling these might look really bad, but that's okay if it's just one tile. We'll do the other direction on the other one just because, you know, just because we can. Oops. Oh, let's get in there. Then... oh, that's perfect, because then I can just cover this up. Right, okay, I feel like when it's not diagonal, I don't read it as hazard, but as weird pedestrian crossing. Yeah, which is funny, so I'm going to do it. Only for one tile. And, you know, if I don't like it, I can always paint over it later, I suppose, but I have a feeling I won't. Maybe I'll just put the tile diagonally. Not how that works, I know. And these, you can tell I was too lazy and didn't mask off the middles there, so I'm going to have to repaint those in gray anyway. It's my entirely own fault. Katie Smith says hi. Hello, Katie Smith. Glad to see you here, as all of you, of course. Okay, that goes there. What I probably should do is, yeah, just put them on vertically and then take the time to put them in after I figure out which one I'm pulling. After this, I just need to go back and touch up all the yellow and do. I'm going to unfortunately have to redo some dry brushing. And then it's the weathering and enamel step, which does unfortunately require me to satin varnish, which might be a pretty big challenge in the coming days. So this might get delayed. Might not be doing this Thursday because might not have it ready if the weather doesn't let me varnish outside, because I do like to use spray varnishes for terrain because it's much more durable. But when it's, you know, 40-something degrees Celsius and 100 degrees, feels like 100-something degrees Fahrenheit, then I can really, you know, that's how you get bad varnish jobs. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on time of day. How does things go today? Hello, Tabletop Geekbots. Good. I hope you are also well. We are painting hazard stripes. And finally, hopefully this will be the last day I'm painting hazard stripes. It has been fun, but I think I will like to take a break from painting hazard stripes now. Thank you. Because I feel like I've been painting hazard stripes for days. Which I have been, technically. Granted, only a couple hours a day, but, you know. Okay, that goes there. Alright, and then we take off every other one. Schloop. Schloop. Okay, there we go. Get you in there, you in there. Now, the paint. I don't know why I'm being careful there. I'm going to have to brush over that anyway. That's the first layer because it's over satin varnish. It's going to look like terrible anyway because it's literally hydrophobic. I just dump this in here because it's going to be brown anyway, so all the better to cover up that yellow with. Find a nice base for it. Here I'll be a little more careful because there we go. Sloop, sloop, sloop. Go here. Get that in there. Ah, the hydrophobia. Go for printed strips on paper and Mod Podge it down. Yep, that is definitely one way. I don't have a color printer. I mean, honestly, airbrush would be way faster, and I probably should just be airbrushing these. I have an airbrush station next to me, but, you know. Until today, I wasn't really, I was just having a lot of fun doing it. And then I think tile number 10 is where it goes, all right, this has been fun, but... But hey, if you just get tired of it just at the end, that's not bad. That's actually pretty good timing. We'll see what next stream is, because on the one hand, I don't know, I might go to the store today and be unwise regarding Sakatari purchases. There's a Combat Patrol box that has a lot of cool AdMech stuff in it. Or I might talk myself down from that ledge. With a reminder that I've still not even painted my guard army. And I'm certainly not going to be buying an AdMech army, so would I only be using it for Combat Patrol? What am I doing with it? Because AdMech is the most, I think, right up there with Genestealer Cults as the most expensive army to build and paint. Just because of how expensive the new kits are compared to how many points they are in game. And again, I have guards, so I don't need another horde army. I mean, a proxy Van Saar and Red Robes. I mean, I could, yeah, and I could try and think, okay, what am I going to use them for in Necromunda? They're a little too fancy for Necromunda, in my opinion, because it's hard to, I mean, but yeah, you could just play them as Van Saar. Problem is, I like Van Saar models too, so I already have a bunch of those. In fact, I just got a bunch more. Could do a list building stream with putting together my new Van Saar. How's all the striping going? We're almost done. Hello, Luca. We've got our last 2 tiles to do today. And we'll be free of the stripes. And on to more... Well, this is 98% of the actual time spent in these tiles, because before and after this, it's all dry brushing and then pigments and weathering and everything. So, as I've done one on this channel before, I'll just now be doing all of that. Alright, again, it's so hydrophobic down here. Get... Ugh, yuck, yep. Got to just let it dry, Okay, so let's flop back to the other one. It'll hopefully be dry enough for us to actually put down a good coat. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully I don't need 2. But if I do, it's not the end of the world, just annoying. Yeah, probably gonna need another one. Oh well. Such is life in using satin varnishes. That sounds like a too many models problem. I don't believe those actually exist. I mean, no. If it was a problem, I wouldn't be buying more now, would I? Had a first game of a new campaign yesterday with an almost all-in Psyker to lock. It did not go well. I am sorry. I'm not surprised, but I'm sorry. Psychic powers in general just requires a lot of investment. And as we talked about in our own videos on it, the lock Psyker stuff is very thematic, very fun, not necessarily very powerful. Unless you do the thing where what you can now do, rules is written, which is go into a different discipline off the bat. But then it doesn't feel like you're doing Delot, because you're not using like Psychoteria Whispers, you're using whatever other version. I really, really, really want to make weird powers work with the Psygeist. Yeah, well, yeah, the Psygeist is just a baffling decision. It's like, oh yeah, here's your Psychic Geist. Oh, so he's good at Psychic? No. But he could be later if you buff him up. Like, I know that's what they're going for. The Psygeist is your prospect, and, you know, you're supposed to train him to be good at willpower, but, like, he has to get there first. Yeah, and willpower is the cheapest skill to buy. It's only four experience for a willpower upgrade, but like you still got to get 4 experience, which is either 4 matches, which is a lot, or you know if they manage to get kills, but then you circle back to well, how are they getting kills? Unless you put that one really expensive piece of kit on them, which is very good, but then then your prospects are the cost of your champions, and it's ay ay ay. Would it make more sense to harness to be like Cerebro or something? I mean, yeah. Yeah, it really feels like they didn't know what they were going for with that one. Well, I've never personally played Deloc. When they come out with that new crew box that comes with all of the Deloc together, I will get some because I mean, as long as it's appropriately priced. Okay, well, unfortunately, we're going to need a third layer on this because there's some spots where it's not as nice as I'd like it to be. Like right here, where I just messed it up by not being patient again. Same with the Smashing Enforcer Psyker. Well, I don't know if it's quite the same, but yeah, because the Smashing Enforcer Psyker can't even upgrade. At least the Psygeists can, right? At least the Psygeist could, in theory, be good later. Now it's not efficient and it's not like good credits wise, which is just the problem with prospects and juvies entirely, right? Um, but in the case of the Psygeist, it's can't even upgrade. Use your ballistic skill. You mean my 5-up? Yeah. And part of that is just telekinesis is just not a very good, particularly good discipline anyway. And I don't know. I just don't think that most psychic powers should key off of gun skill. Like, I'll try and make it work. Not too worried about my power level or anything. Our 21-person campaign will allow for some varied matches. Yeah, sure will. Holy smokes. That's a lot of folks to manage. Shout out to your arbitrator, or if that's you. You're crazy. But cool. Let's really slop this stuff in here. Just trying to. It's a fun power set on a Venator Hunt Leader. Yes, it is. Give us that guess a stub gun +2. Problem solved. Yeah, I kind of want to try the the Haunt as an outcast leader. Or you could use the Bone Crusher as an outcast leader, because then he would actually be able to upgrade. Man, it'd be a first rough few matches, though. New edition is identical except Delok is power crept. I mean, that would be the funniest possible option. The worm is funny, though. Yeah, I love the worms and the squids. Okay. Let you dry. Are you even dry enough to work on again? Yeah, you are. Okay. There we go. This will be the last. The last coat I need for these, which is good, because... Yoop, doot, 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 doot. Try to buy a Psychoteric Thrall later. Yeah, and Psychoteric Thralls are good. They're just, again, so expensive for what they are, right? Like... You still have some really powerful combos. Yeah, they're incredibly expensive for what they are. Doot, 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 doot. Where's my black brown? Do I even have that out? I should have that out. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to need that next for covering up all the mistakes of this tile when I did things out of order. And, you know, suffered for it. Okay, some nice black stripes. Let's rip all these off. Oh, come on. Yeah. Hate this thing. Okay, alright. Other tile still drying, so while that's working, I'm going to get my brown out and cover up the spots of yellow overspray that I wasn't quite smooth enough to not do. I need more black brown. I'm running out. That's a good problem. I have no idea what caused this cracking down here. This is a good example of what happens when the weather isn't good for your prime job. So I'm going to paint over and redo this tile. Hopefully that'll help. Got most of this tile. You get the yellow spots on places. I think that's it. Yeah, here we go. All right. And then any cleanup around here I need to do. Not particularly, at least none that I shouldn't just wait for it to fully dry. Story of my life. You're not quite dry enough to do work on, so let's take some browns to you and fix, like, this is embarrassing. I don't even know how I did that. Must have just not put the tape down fully. So, let's cover up our hard work dry brushing with some brown that we'll re-dry brush over later, like a schmuck. Well, that's okay. Some variance in the underhive, it does not go amiss. Stoop, stoop, sloop. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a placing something there anyway, so I'm sure this is necessary, but I'll have to sand it with all the giant enamel washes I'm doing and all that stuff. We'll have to sand it off anyway, so doesn't really matter. Okay, there we go. And of course, we'll have to do one more pass on everything with this same focus in mind. Okay, one last black stripe down all these. Oh, wait. Shoop, 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 shoop. Are you going to do Necromunda battle reports or live matches? We have not done them yet. I think we talked about this last stream when you were here, but it's basically, want to make sure we do them right. So we're kind of we have the rig set up. We've done a test battle report for 40k 11th. So basically we just want to make sure we do them right. And the last thing I think we need to get dialed in is the audio, because it was kind of the audio mics betrayed us during the road race one. So we got to figure that out. I mean, and by figure it out, I just mean dial it in. But yes, we are doing them. We'll be doing them both for old edition and new edition when it comes out. But we just want to make sure we do it really, really right. Because yeah, we had a lot of fun doing the Mad Max Racing one. But a normal one is a little more complicated because there's a lot more angles. Like the Mad Max Racing one was on a very simple board going one direction. You only need to be seen from one direction or two directions, because top down and then one side. Whereas a full Necromunda board, of course, has lots and lots of different angles. Well, these hazard stripes are not going to look very good, but I'm not redoing them. Because, you know what? Screw it. The lav mics, because the shotgun mic is what we fell back to on the... Because we used lav mics during the racing video, but they all betrayed us and, like, were incredibly poppy and loud. So we always have a shotgun mic as backup to be able to use in case the lav mics fail, so that's what we ended up using. We want to work that out for the next one, because as people pointed out in the video, it was kind of annoying that, like, different people were different volumes and everything else. I am mirrored. I am mirrored because of the way the top-down is working, because, like, I'm right-handed. It's just mirrored because if I don't mirror it... Actually, maybe could I be able to do that? Hold on. Camera. Transform. Because if I rotate 180... see, that's the problem. If I rotate 180, it, Oh, wait. I should be able to flip horizontal, shouldn't I? Transform. Flip horizontal. There we go. Hey, now, okay, there we go. Not that there's anything wrong with being left-handed, but I am not left-handed. Quote Princess Bride. Oh god, this one's so bad. Running your audio through Adobe Podcast Online can provide a variety of sounds very good at cleaning up. Yeah, it was. It wasn't even the cleanup. It was just just honestly the volume differential between me and Kevin when we get excited versus like Cody is needs to be accounted for. Because I'm very loud and Cody's not. You just find some good files for Derek Z and Tile Bottom. Yeah, if you're looking for files, I don't know any off the top of my head, but I know they're out there. Okay, so this is so slick. I'm actually going to put down some matte varnish on these first, because otherwise, like, look at this. Shoop, just wipe it right off. So I'm going to put down some matte varnish before I even try and put down a layer of the brown paint that's going to make it look decent. Nope, I am not left-handed. Sorry if you were looking for some left-handed rep here. I am very right-handed, but I just couldn't figure out the, yeah, so this is how I'm actually set up. This is my left over here. And now when I put things on screen, the bottle will be the correct way. So you can actually read the labels. Hoo-hoo. Alright, so let's get some... might have to wait for this to dry. Yeah. Josh, wait for things to dry, because if you don't, what happens is what just happened, which is it doesn't look good. Look, I have a problem, and that problem is letting things dry sometimes, okay? I'm just impatient to get to the fun painty bits. Alright, well, that covers it for at least getting the hazard strike started. Now that they're all dry, what I'm going to do is going to take my yellow ochre. Where are you, yellow ochre? Bold of you to see any of us can read. Yellow ochre! And I'm going to kind of clean up these a wee bit. Where's a good brush for this? Where's a good brush for this? There you are. Very nice. So we're going to do this with all our tiles, which is just kind of, little bits here and there. I'm actually not going to bother going over with the yellow ochre with more of a yellow, because it's going to get weathered. All those barriers are going to get weathered. But the yellow ochre is way better at coverage than the actual yellow, so it just looks like dirty yellow. Doot, doot. Because, once this all disappears under the enamel wash and everything like that, it's gonna... Well, it's all gonna come out in the wash, not to put too fine a point on it. When dealing with terrain, variety is king. Visual interest is what you are going for. And that means variety. So splotches and dirty bits like this, where it's like, why is this yellow paint different? Well, because it was put on differently, or something like that. But of course, the big part is you got to connect everything. You got to put everything together. So like right now, these things do not fit together. You have to unify them, which is where the wash comes in. I have the ZML files, but they all have the raised cross for mounting columns and stuff. I end up digitally trimming them down to my own thing. Okay, so you're looking for files that don't have the mounting points. That I don't even definitely know, because I know there are files out here. I'm going to be honest, that's something we're looking into in a future video, but we haven't done the research yet on, like, alternatives for Zone Mortalis. We have one in mind for MDF, for people who don't print at all, but I don't know. I have not looked through, and the problem is there's just so many available options out there for printing. And we do want to make sure they're, relatively ethically sourced. By which I mean, like, if someone designed them and put them up and they're asking for a little money for them, I want to make sure that it's not just somebody's design that got stolen and put on one of those sketchy 3D printing websites, because that happens a lot, and that really sucks. But yeah, there are lots of print alternatives out there. I've never seen one that immediately makes me go, ooh, I need that. Even though the tiles, of course, from Games Workshop are ludicrously expensive, the terrain is worse. Obviously. But we'll be doing research on that later down the line. I figure new editions is a great time to do that anyway, because people are going to be getting into the game for the first time. And, might be interested in where they can play Zone Mortalis without spending kidney money. Hello all. Hello, X-Wing Zero. Okay. Shloop. Little marks here. This is actually the other part that takes a lot of time. And that I could, honestly, I could skip this, because I could hide all of this with weathering. But again, as we've said a billion times on these streams, and as we'll say a billion times on the videos for these, we're looking to go to the 9s and do it the best way, not necessarily the fastest or most efficient way, or what we feel is the best way. This is not any better than doing an airbrush. an airbrush is better. We just know that, like, if you have an airbrush, you probably don't need me to tell you how to do it. Like, because yeah, airbrush clearly superior for this. Oh yeah, I'm getting yellow paint everywhere. Schloop, there we go. Make that a little yellow. Uh-oh. There we go. This hasn't happened to me for 40k, but MCP, some amazing alt sculpts. Oh, Marvel Crisis Protocol. Yeah. I've never been big on Marvel, so that kind of came to... I'm just very much not the target audience for that. There's some cool stuff, though. I think I've got like 1 or 2 of the models at some point just because they're cool models. But not being into superheroes much means just I'm not, not everything has to be made for me. Okay. We got laser cut terrain for one of our members' design. He's working on a Sakuna Steam set now, so not too long to get the painting. Excellent. Yeah, we have a partnership with some laser cut terrain that we're going to be talking about. And by partnership, I mean it's the same people who fund the the same producer is the guy who owns the channel. So it's not even like it's not like a paid sponsorship so much as a hey, here's some other things that we are connected with. Okay. Use some brown to cover up my sins over here. Because I'm not going to have to go into, get dry brush anyway. All right, that tile is done for now. Let's swap to you. Okay. Unsurprisingly, our fairly considerable train ran out when doing 7 games at the same time. Yep. Gonna get some varnish down here because, good heavens, that's not ever gonna accept paint if I don't. I'm just loosely applying varnish. Ay. Well, it's fine that that's all messy because it's gonna get messed up anyway. So I don't want the lines to be on the upper parts here. One second, I gotta go turn my dehumidifier on because it's too wet in here. Okay, well, hopefully that helps. I want that varnish to dry this century. Ooh, okay. This one's actually turned out pretty okay. Where are you based? You don't mind me asking? The Midwest. Kind of like the Indiana, Michigan area. American Midwest, I should say. Because I know lots of our listeners today are not in the States. That's kind of why we do Sundays. So I'm surprised laser cutters aren't more popular in the hobby, considering they're not that much more expensive than the resin printers. I think it's because of the fire and the sawdust. which is kind of weird because it's actually not that much more dangerous than printer fumes. If and printer, and of course resin, resin toxicity is a huge issue, and disposal is a huge issue, way bigger than anything in laser printing. But those are visible threats, or those are less visible threats compared to laser cutting, where it's like, oh yeah, this giant machine has a laser that will set your house on fire. Maybe. I am purely guessing. It's fine. No European here would describe herself as the Midwest. Yeah, that's very true. That doesn't make much sense. It's a very American term. Shit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, nothing's drying great here. That's okay. We got a lot of these to get through. Just again, need to be more patient. I think later colors aren't popular because most people don't want to print it for terrain. Maybe? Hard to say. I personally like laser cut MDF is definitely behind normal 3D printed stuff as far as what I like in terrain. On the flip side, I would function because I have a printer. I would almost never buy. In fact, I would never buy 3D printed terrain, but I will definitely buy laser cut terrain because I can't do that at home. And quality laser cutters, quality laser cut MDF terrain companies sidestep a lot of the things you hear about when people complain about MDF terrain. A lot of that is the product of low quality MDF. This is my having worked with an MDF company coming through, but there's some things you can do that a lot of people just don't do on their products that makes it a lot better for wargaming and painting and other things like that. Like the whole thing about MDF absorbing and warping and all that other stuff. Like that doesn't happen with all the MDFs. It depends on how it's made and treated and all this other good stuff. Okay. Again, I should probably wait because I can see how things are still yellow or still wet here. Because I want to paint over the Midwest Finland would be such a confusing term. Middle Finland. Yeah, wait for that varnish to fully dry. Fully dry before we do anything else with it. Because otherwise I'm going to do exactly what I was about to do, which is doom myself. Okay, so, are you what we want? Yes, so this tile, I'm going to make a tile pile, off screen. We're going to do one quick check on everything to make sure everything is what we want it as far as that, and then we'll go to the dry brushing, and then I'll have to find a way to varnish these. Might have to airbrush varnish them, which is really not what I want to do with terrain, because terrain gets beat the heck out of it. So I always vastly prefer to rattle can varnish terrain and rattle can prime terrain, because those are, I do find them way more durable than airbrush primers. Also going to do one last check to make sure I didn't put any straight yellow around the board. Yeah, that messed up, but that's okay. I like seeing more foldable terrain. Yeah, foldable terrain, I don't know. It's very good for transport. I'm just not the target audience because we have a game store that we play at, and it's really, really, really like stocked with terrain. So for me, foldable terrain isn't just part of my repertoire. But if you're traveling a lot and just need to move things around, I think foldable terrain is a fantastic resource. Not even sure if what I'm doing right now is showing up that much on camera because the ochre is not a very different color than the yellow. In person, it looks very much more drastic. That's why I'm doing it. Local store, more trading card, and their space for storage is limited. Exactly. Yeah, you're just more of a target audience, which is good. Which is why I like that it exists, even though it's not for me. It's really cool when like who's the one who does the really lots of foldable terrain? Is it Monster Fight Club? Come on. There we go. Our LGS is in trouble with the amount of Munda now Trench Crusade we terrain and put out and allow anyone to use. Yeah. Yeah. These will be because these are going to the store. And they will be available by request, but they will not be out on the shelves. This terrain we're doing this because we just unfortunately people are just jerks when it comes to terrain. The stuff that isn't theirs, they just feel like they can treat it really poorly, and it's not. That's the thing is it's not the people who come in and play on the regular nights. It's the people who just come play pickup games and aren't really part of the community as much. They just kind of don't respect the terrain. We had this problem with Age of Sigmar. We had this problem with 40k, and dang it, I am not allowing all this stuff to get banged up because some jerk doesn't want to put the terrain away. I'm a bit behind on the stream, but I do buy neat files when I can find the creator. I like the idea of helping them feel just files we can sell, not just dope table setups. Right, yeah. So you want to make yours. Got it. Okay. Yeah, we have a guy who can kind of design 3D printed files and does for us for a lot of other things. It's just that he hasn't really done Necromunda yet because there hasn't been a big enough a demand locally anyway. Much more demand for 40k and of course like 3D printed dice towers. Because everyone loves those. I also take questionable source files and change them 20% so no copyrights get infringed. Oh, what was I? Oh yeah, it was what else to place. That reminds me, my 40k rulebook did come in. I'm going to go to the store today and pick it up and check it out. I don't know if I'm going to end up playing a lot of 40k, but you know, they made a rulebook that was actually kind of cheap. It's only 25 bucks as opposed to the normal 60. And unlike for 60 bucks, for 25 bucks, I'll take a look. Which is a lesson I wish they would learn for the Necromunda books, but it doesn't look like they're going to. And that's what the one thing I'm kind of about. And by kind of, I mean actively about, which is if they want me to buy $360 worth of books, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to. One last tile. If they made the books cheap, then people can buy them and play the games, which require them to buy more Judolia products. And that sounds like a good marketing. Can't have that. Yeah, you know, but no, it's like because we're talking today on a different stream. It's like they cost that much because people will buy them for that much, and there is no other reason for it. And if people would not buy them for that much, then they would not be that expensive. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's one of the things we've constantly complained about is Necromunda is very difficult to get into. And it looks like with the new edition, it's going to be not the case for a little bit. And then they're going to do what they do with every new edition of everything is that the beginning of the edition is going to be the best time to get in. And then they're going to add more and more bloat that over time will make it harder and harder to get in. Which is a shame, because we've always said that getting into Necromunda is the hard part. The best way to get into Necromunda is have a friend who already plays Necromunda, and that's not how you get people to play your game. But they have their own logic, and it makes them money, so... Nice. Three tables of the Menagerie Files. I've got a few tables worth of other game terrain, but I've not done much for Necromunda. Oddly, with my printer. Now, this Quar's War and Trench Crusade, oh yeah. Turnip 28, mm-hmm. Got tons of that stuff printed. Okay, now we take our brown and clean up the edges. Oops. See, if it ends up getting left brown, that is still less a jarring difference than if it was black. Plus, it won't get left brown. I'll go over all this with a dry brush of gray to tie it all back together. So it'll just be messy, which, in the Underhive, is what we want. Oops. That's okay. That'll be a Mornfang brown spot later. Or a Rhinox hide, I guess. Okay, I think we can add this tile to the done pile. Well, done for this step. There's obviously an entire other step to do. Well, it looks like I already did the brown cleanup on this tile, which is good. But now I need to do the yellow. Which on this tile looks like I did a better job of keeping things masked well, because I don't need to do a lot of yellow dashes here. There we go, yeah. Thanks, past me, for not screwing this one up so badly that it takes tons of time to redo. Okay, get that in there, and you in there, and then cleaned up there. All right, well, this is also a good tile. Next. Reloading. Someone go on to Warhammer community and tell me what what's up for what's been announced for today. Or maybe just tell me if I have to care. Not going to lie. I do the next edition. It smells like 8th core today with indexes. Yeah, we'll see. And what happens afterwards will determine how bad it is. And we won't know until A, we see the rules, and B, what their monetization is. Because, yeah, if this is just a reset, because 40K, they've got, down to a formula of constantly resetting the edition and making you buy new things for the sake of just buying new things. And if that's what they're doing, I think a lot of us will be like, well, let's just keep playing the other edition and or adapting things. If they do it in a different way, where it's like more like Horus Heresy, where it's these campaign books that have a little bit of everything for everyone, that feels something more like D&D. Well, old D&D, where it's like, yeah, you don't have to buy all these books, you just buy the specific scenarios. That is a lot less bad. So, but we'll see. Could go either way with them. The specialist gangs are a wild card. You can't always say, oh, well, they're doing this for 40K, so they're going to do this for Necromunda. Entirely different teams. Entirely different teams with entirely different, honestly, just entirely different what they're allowed to do business-wise. So yeah, it could be the worst thing ever, in which case, Games Workshop ain't going to come to my house, kick down my door, and steal my old books and models, so we'll do what we want. Or it'll be great, and we'll play it. We'll see. I can't know yet. Because here's the thing: when 8th first launched and the edition, everything was indexed, that was actually one of the best times to play 40K. Now, not in a way that that's a good move if you already owned all your stuff, but if you were getting into 40K, that was a fantastic time. And unfortunately, we must always remember that existing players are not the target audience for a new edition. It sucks to say it that way, but the reality is line must go up when you're dealing with a corporation, which they are, which means that it is not enough for everyone who plays Necromunda. You must sell more Necromunda, which means you must get more people involved. And when their product line becomes so labyrinthian that it's impossible to get into it easily, that scares off new players. That's by design. The ideal thing to do is what they do with other editions in 40K, which is easy to get into at the start, so you are invested. You keep buying more and more because you're invested, and then when it's so bloated that you feel like, I don't want to buy anymore, I've got so much stuff, that's when they change. And we'll see what they do and how they execute it. Yeah, I assume the strategy of hiring the Pinkertons to steal your old stuff will get pioneered by WotC first. Probably. Or or Sony, I suppose. Sony's going to find out that you kept one of the movies they deleted on your hard drive, and they're going to send somebody to take your PS2. Sorry, I said PS2. PS6, 5? What are they on? I don't know. I don't play video games. He lied. Yeah, this one's also nicely already done. All right. Last tile to do is you. Dude. Working gatekeep harder, so it's a rotting fan paste that crumbles into dust. Yeah, I don't want to do that, right? That's the other problem, is that... Which I don't think... I will say, in the defense of Necromunda and its fan base, I don't think it was ever there. That was what ended up happening to old Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which was... It became so difficult to get into as a game that the only people who were in it were people... gatekeeping's a whole another discussion to have, but... I don't think Necromunda had that problem, mostly because Necromunda still very much had the vibe of, if you expressed any interest in Necromunda, a bunch of idiots like us would peel open your doors to tell you how you could totally play Necromunda, and all you had to do was this, 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 and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, right? They wouldn't kick down your doors to steal your stuff, but Mintra's Rundown would absolutely kick down your door to, tell you how to best get into Necromunda because we all love the game so much and it's very unique. It's kind of like Mordheim, right? Mordheim is an ancient game. The modern Mordheim community is not a gatekeepy one by any stretch. In fact, it's kind of populated by the anti-gatekeepy punk folk in a lot of ways because of just, I mean, managed to establish and build a community. We are looking at Mordheim, but there's just so much going on. But Mordheim is always in the back of our minds just because it's kind of seems like Fantasy Necromunda. But none of us have any attachment to old Mordheim because we didn't play it. My attachment to Mordheim is, oh, it's kind of like Vermintide? Yeah. So. But, you know, when people say that, like, Necromunda didn't need a new edition, it just needed some, like, revamping, they're not wrong. Necromunda did not need a new edition, which is why I'm withholding judgment. I will take a look at it, and I will see if it is good, and then I will kind of, you know, we'll take a look at the initial rules, and obviously they have to pass the first check of, well, are these fun? Because if they're not, then, like, well, that's a different discussion. And then we'll kind of wait and see with the new monetization, because that's what really kind of determines whether how much I buy it or not, because at the end of the day, well, I got so much time and so much money. Okay. Now, it can be kick down your door, buy this box, and kidnap 6, 7 friends. Yes. Well, you know, that's always the case with these games, right? Okay. Now, here's the thing about, just to keep you updated on this, because some of you guys were asking about this tile here. This tile here, I love this tile. This tile is not one of the game store tiles. Sorry, not one of the channel tiles, because the other ones I'm working on are for the channel. These are not. This one is not. This one is mine, because I didn't want to ruin a game, I keep saying game store, no, channel. I did not want to ruin a channel tile without knowing that if the bullcrap I'm trying here is actually going to work. So, this tile I will only kind of be working on if the other ones are, like, completely need me to wait for them to dry. Because this is not, I want to finish the others first. This tile is a experiment. Weird science. Ooh, boop 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 boop. So that's why it's kind of incomplete compared to the other ones, and why it's not the same stage as the other ones. All right, speaking of stages, let me re-rack here and get out my materials for dry brushing. That's what we do here. In this house, we stand a dry brush? I don't know. Is that what the kids would say? I'm not hip with the ute. Dry brush. Texture palette. Another dry brush. Where'd my other dry brushes go? Oh. I was about to ask where my gray paint was, and it's literally anything happening with OG Necromunda. I don't have all the books. I need to get one more. I need to find the because I have the rule book, but there's another book you need to play. Because I still do want to look at it just for like historical curiosity. Are you gonna paint this village areas? Yes. So, and I'm kind of on the fence about how I want to do this. Or how the old would say, live, laugh, dry brush. Paint through the tiles and spray through the underhive and dry brush through the back of my hive scum racer. Boom, 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 boom. So, I'm kind of on the fence about how I want to do this, because here's the thing. This is another great example of, do I want PDFs? I mean, for that one, if you are on the Discord and you post the PDF for an Ancient Edition of Necromunda, I think that would be completely fine. Yes. Please don't try and send any message to me personally, because all the auto mods will just, like, block the absolute heck out of it, and I'll never get it. Or just point me to where they are, because here's the thing, they're out there. I just need to find them. I'm just been lazy in that regard, mostly trying to get other painting done. So anyway, keep interrupting myself. Here's the thing. The smart way to do this would be to airbrush, right? Like, if I have any brains in my head at all, you just airbrush this. That's one of the reasons why I haven't done the dry brushing yet. Because, you just mask this off, you airbrush this out, a nice green, and then you airbrush the light spots. But part of me wants to do it in dry brushing just to be a giant, I don't know, contrarian? Just because I can, kind of. Outlands book, right? Oh, see, here's the thing. I don't even know what edition of old Necromunda. I'm not even sure what books or documentation I need to play it. I have to look up fully what's out there. Where did I put my... Oh, there you are. So I've got my little bridges here. They just kind of float there, and the idea is that they'll get glued down, of course. But I want to paint everything else underneath it first, because these will be kind of floating on top of the sludge. And yeah, I should airbrush this, but I kind of just want to take a big green paintbrush and paint this all green. Is the base flat or tile? It's concave towards the center. So here's the thing. It's supposed to be flat. However, this is two different layers of... There's no way I can show you on camera. But you can kind of see the seam here. See that seam there? This is like half a centimeter higher than the others, than this side. Because I couldn't find a piece of plastic card big enough to do the whole thing. So they'll have to be doing this in a couple layers. But what the way I'll paint that is that this side is just slightly higher, with whatever it is underneath. But what I kind of want to do is just get some, gradients. Yeah, that's what I mean by dry brushing. Because the good thing to do would be the middle is darker and then you do a lighter around the edges to sell the idea that it is deepening in the center. That's how you do things. And you could accomplish that with a dry brush, and I kind of want to show that you can accomplish that with a dry brush, even though in the reality is, for my own purposes, I should just flip and airbrush the thing, because that would save me about 40 years of time. Literally 40 years of time. Not really, no. Hyperbolically. So I just noticed that there's a little blop here that needs some primer on it, because it doesn't get... must have worn off, or must have slapped it by accident. But yeah, kind of want to... I don't know. It's hard, because... just kind of want to take this giant brush and just green... Now, what color green do I want to use? Oops. Got black green. We got to think about what the deepest green is, and then what the green on top of that is. This should be the lighter green. The lightest green. So that should be what I dry brush on. Although, actually, hold on. If I'm doing a dry brush gradient, I want to actually kind of do an inverted one, which is paint the lighter color down and then dry brush or just spot paint in the middle a darker green. But, well, still be better to do a full green around. So let me see. What's my grossest looking toxic green that is darker? Not army green. No. I need something that looks radioactive, but also is darker. Will there be a layer of resin over the top of it? Yes. It's going to be you paint the green underneath, and then you mix the green in with the resin, and then you put all of it over there. So the gradient, it'll be semi-transparent, it'll shine through, but your gradient underneath will do a lot of the heavy lifting. Kind of want to actually use these just because if I use these darn paints up, I won't have to have them anymore. Orc skin, yeah. Sourcebook and Outliner's book was missing, don't quote me. Yes, because I've got just the, like, basic rule books. Nice emerald. Emerald's not the right dark green. I need a dark, icky green, you know? Oh, sorry, green skin. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I was worried that might not be dark enough. But we can always add the darkness later, right? Uh-oh. Paperclip coon. Sorry, safety pin coon. Gosh, sorry, I can't believe I misnamed safety pin coon like that. It's like I don't even like him, Baka. I am just uttering words that have no meaning to me because I don't actually watch anime, so I apologize to everybody who does. Disgusting Slime was a decent Army Painter one. That's an effect paint, right? Is Disgusting Slime an effect paint? Or is that... Because apparently I don't have that. Really? Ooh, that's bright. That's bright. Might need to go down from that. This might be... Glade Shard is excellent. Yes, I've got Glade Shard here. I think... Never apologize to people who watch anime. I think Glade Shard or Rainforest is going to be the lighter green. I'm looking at what, like, the center green is. And for that, actually, maybe like a... Well, let me get this layer of orc, or let me get this orc screen in here, just because I'm using it. But this is a little too... pastel? It's not the right word. I want it to be more yellowy. That's the word. I want this to... Whoa! Uh-oh. Sorry, I just spilled water all over my desk. Because I wasn't paying attention. Forgot I was using a giant brush and needed to, like, pay attention. Anyway, I want it to be more... Yeah, more of a yellow... Ooh, 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 ooh. This is a nice... Oh, yeah, I think that's what we want. And, like, if you're not like, this isn't dry yet, you're right. I'm just, like, I am literally just slopping this on here. Yeah, that's a nice, dark... Varying the colors, yeah. And look at that, we can get this nice weird green mix. Where it looks kind of... Ooh, I actually like that. Look at that. We mix the orc skin, or the green skin, with the, Ordic olive. I hate that word. You get this almost kind of perfectly what I want, huh? This is why I like terrain. You can just really just be messy like this. Like, okay, we're kind of mixing some green skin and some Ordic olive on the fly. You know what I could do? I don't even need to use a Antifa algae green. I saw Goody Proctor putting algae in the reflecting pool. I'm gonna live like a true rebel. I'm just gonna put the paint right on the model and just paint it on. And then when I want some green skin, I'm just gonna put a couple... I'm mixing on the plate. I can't be stopped. Smash the state. Yep, and I do like a good wet blend like that. And, you know, I'll have to go over the brown again in some places, but... I don't know why I'm so worried about getting things on the barrels here. Like, I'm not going to paint over them anyway. Oh, yeah, that looks gross! It looks like if you stepped into that, you might get, grow some kind of new, exciting form of cancer. I'll have to do a second layer because I'm... Someone stop him. Won't someone please think of the children? Never. So I think that's good for our base green. Which, again, I should probably let this dry fully before I put another layer down, just to make sure it fully gets on there. Oh, man. I get a pesky inspector. Children can fish in that spawn. This is definitely a place where... Oh, gosh, I should put like a Stardew Valley fishing joke here or something like that. I should print a fishing rod and have someone... Like a little, like, how people have those little fishing setups where it's like their rod and their bucket. Should put one right here that implies that someone has been fishing here. Get under there. There we go. Like, yeah, it's not all quite the same shade of green, although it is close. Yeah, I need to say it with me, folks. Need to let it dry and put down another layer, because otherwise it'll... Alright, so I'm going to put that aside for a second. Well, actually, I mean, paint other things, but there's not a lot else to paint on this tile. I'm not doing lots of folding chair, tackle box, and a rod, yep, and a hat. I need to change my water here in a second. So I've kind of put a lot of green into this. I definitely need a new paper towel. Yeah, one second, folks. I gotta change my water and get a new paper towel, because this is... I've overloaded this with green. Remembering now why I kept 2 water cups. One. Ship's dinner. Hopefully it's the new Necromunda books have fishing rules. Oh, yeah, sure. That's what I want in my Necromunda. Fishing minigame rules. Coming to a miniatures rundown PDF near you. Fish up some dinner or become dinner. Yes. Either way, you win. No, wait. Opposite of that. All right. Okay, so, again, gonna be patient. Let this trip. Immediately... Look at how that immediately already starts selling this tile. Oh, I love it. I love how gross it is. All right. Okay, back to you. Get some gray. A new palette paper here. Reloading. I was thinking of the 3-ad fish from an early Simpsons episode. Yeah, I remember that fish. Finally used for the harpoon launcher. So instead of a fishing rod, I should have the harpoon launcher there. Some see bass fishing bass, wow. Music major. Some see bass fishing tournament, 40,000. All right, so what I'm doing here is really just trying to get the grays. So need some of that green on the pipe, though. Oh yeah, I'll do that afterwards. Like there'll be a resin pore coming out of the pipe, so I'm going to paint the inside of the pipe that green. I'm also trying to determine if I want to do OSL with it or not. I've never done OSL, but you don't learn to do things by not doing them. So, I mean, honestly, what we're doing here mostly is putting gray over this brown that I had to put down. Finish the round yourself. Actually should get a really small dry brush for that. Yeah, so just kind of getting the idea of gray here. Probably going to take a couple. Really less dry brushing and more over brushing here. Okay, that one's going to need a second coat on those to get them back to really gray. It's the problem with this gray craft paint. Did you make the tile? I mean, as far as I cut it, like I took a Games Workshop Zone Mortalis tile. I used a Dremel with a rotary attachment to go bzzz, and I cut that out. Still got the pieces. And then I glued it to a MDF tile with some plastic art underneath it to make it even. So, yes, I did make this, but I did not. This is not a printed tile, nor is it like did I craft the tile part. The rest of this is legitimate Zone Mortalis. I did do the the modification, shall we call it? Anyway, that's the problem with this stupid craft paint is it's transparent, very transparent, because it's not very highly pigmented. So, but right now we're just kind of slapping it on in these places to reestablish that gray. The next gray step is way more important. Because like, yeah, right here, honestly, I don't even need to, I'm not dry brushing this, just over brushing this. The next step where I take I think I used country gray on here. That's a little more important because that one actually highlights things. And honestly, you could leave the brown. You could leave the brown and just have it be spots. You just want to kind of feather it in to disguise that it's not just... Because, you know, a paintbrush looks like a paintbrush. Or brushed paint, I should say, looks like brushed paint. So that's what we're kind of trying to get rid of, is the brush strokes. Stupid. Get off. There we go. Ew. Gross. Okay. Anything else on here? It's a melted bit. Okay, this tile is done. So put you in the done pile. Well, okay, done with this step. I'm going to do all this gray, and then we'll do all the other gray at once. This one has a lot I need to fix. Apparently when I did this one, I just really failed on the masking part. So really, just get a bunch of goo on there and just overbrush the heck out of it. There we go. Get it back in line with the rest of the tiles, and then we'll do the country gray dry brush to get it back in line with everything, and then we'll varnish it, and then we'll do the goo step, which will hopefully be Thursday, but I gotta find a day that lets me varnish. Could varnish inside. It's not great, though. Don't love doing it. Battleshock's favorite Nurgling. I like that name. Okay, good enough on this one for this step. Next. I can't imagine doing this without assembly lining it like this. I mean, I could, because that's what I did with the first tile, and it sucked. So yeah, just trying to integrate these dark spots into these brown spots where I had to redo, which on this tile was almost nothing. Nice. Okay. Alright, cool. Time for the annual Sump Sea Fishing Jamboree, sponsored by House Ty and Joe Two Gun Scabbers Crab Shack. No crabs. Okay. That one's done. My pile fell over. One moment. Sorry, knocked something over and had to recover it. Okay, well. Get you again. Well, I was watching on 2 times speed to catch up. For a second I thought this was live. Felt like I had seen somebody go doing very similar to this. Really might have been Willie Wood. Okay. Never actually really watched Willie Wood stuff. Nothing against him. I guess because we do so much of our own Necromunda stuff, it's like, don't need the double dose. But if so, I'm glad. Thanks. I'm just starting Necromunda. Main game is Age of Sigmar. Yeah, I do like Age of Sigmar. I wish I could play it more. I just never get around to it. But I do like the Age of Sigmar as a game. Okay, this one's done. Check. Put you in the done pile. Re-rack and reload. Oh. I should probably move you, Mr. Snake, because I don't want to knock you over, because I put a lot of effort into kit bashing you. I need more of my gray, crappy, transparent paint. This one I really messed up the browning on, or the yellow, so I'm going to have to reestablish a lot here. Keep using AOS terrain, campaign choices. An old have done, if it opened to find the surviving locals, went native and low tech. Yeah. Could do that. Need more brown. Or brown. Literally the opposite of what you need, Josh. You need gray. There we go. Gray, 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 gray. This is why you don't just dry brush everything gray, because it gets really boring really fast. Ooh. Yuck, that tile has so much satin varnish on it that the dry brush did not stick. So that one I'm going to put in the needs doing pile. Again, because I'm going to go back over it probably a few times to get that looking more like a dry brush and not a giant mess. Looks like in general I didn't do a lot of gray on this tile. It's fine, because they can be different, yeah. Guess I'm just doing this gray while I'm here. But you are going to get put in the... Yeah, because I need to make that tile look good. Uno Mas! No, wait, no. 3 or more. Never mind. Not Uno Mas. Literally the opposite of Uno Mas. Work that in, ruining this dry brush really bad. That's fine, that's what it's for. Fix all this brown, brown, brown. Make it gray, gray, gray into the world, world, world. Yeah, see if we're clever. We can use the same brush to hit the edges here without hitting the yellow, although a little gray on those doesn't really matter, because again, very transparent. There we go. I'll use a much smaller dry brush for the next step. Okay. You're done. Every time I watch live streams like this, I get inspired that I should start a YouTube channel to give myself more discipline with my painting space and my time. Just keep myself to 2 hours a night. I mean, that is a huge reason why I do these streams, is to make myself paint for at least 4 hours a week. Or hobby at least 4 hours a week. Because sometimes, yeah, it's easy to get just other things happen. Like, again, I was playing Satisfactory before this stream. And if I didn't have this stream to interrupt me, I probably would have kept playing Satisfactory all gosh darn day. And after the stream's over, I'll record our Sunday rundown with Mitchell, and then I'll have all my painting stuff out, so I'll probably paint a little bit more, because, you know. But I also do have to go to do some outside work, and if I don't get back to it because I'm too busy doing that, that's okay too. But at least I got some painting done. So yeah, you know, it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, well, okay, if you don't have a camera, but you don't have to have a face cam. I don't. I never will. And you just need some kind of camera. You just use your phone, put it on a little thingy, record your painting, paint along. This will make full use of my hobby, Matt. The rest of it's covered. Yeah, I did clean off my desk recently to make room for this, but you can still see I've got my kit bashing projects up here. So, I'm not entirely immune to that. Okay, so these are just getting the edges of these. Now, I don't know whether it would be easier to or better to start on YouTube or Twitch. We do YouTube just because it's where we already are. And honestly, if I could afford to, like, if I had the bandwidth to dual stream to Twitch, I probably would. Just because I think Twitch is better for discoverability, because you can do raids and stuff like that. And YouTube stream functionality is kind of primitive. But I don't have the bandwidth to stream to both YouTube and Twitch. My internet would die. So I don't. And, you know, sometimes people find us through the streams. Sometimes. But again, mostly, I'm doing this just to keep me painting. Oh, wow, it got really brown there. Texture palette. It's great. I'm pretty sure that's not getting painted. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, you'll get lit up later when I go over you with Country Gray, so. Okay, last one. Although we do have to redo that one tile that needed to dry. So, looks like it's going to be good timing. Probably won't get done with the Country Gray today, the secondary gray dry brush that actually highlights all this crap. Looks like I won't get to that today. But that's okay. I'll get to that later, just so I can keep my eye out over the next week of when the heck am I going to prime or varnish all this crap, so it, in a way that doesn't cause it to melt outside or dry before hitting my model. Okay. And pretty sure this one over here is also not getting painted, which is, yeah, because that's where the lines are. And that also needs to dry. Okay. Let's get the one that needed to dry. Just that one tile, really. It's this one over here. Which looks better than when we left it. But, yeah, I was worried about that. It's not going to dry fully, and the stupid satin varnish means I'm just going to keep picking up paint. Usually use your streams to motivate me to paint. I don't really paint faces, though. That I can't help you with, because everyone in my gangs just wears helmets. That's not true. Don't have to paint eyes. Just put some flesh tone, flesh wash, highlight the bridge of the nose and the upper lip. And there you go. Or don't even do that part. So this tile is just going to need some recovery once we get the... This tile is just going to have to get weathered back in because it's... I'd have to matte varnish it and then dry brush it. And honestly, I'm just too lazy. Clack, clack, he says. Alright. Where was the one on you that needed redoing? Oh, it's this one. This one where the paint cracked because it was too hot out. That's what I'm worried about. Okay. Yoop. So, let's get back to you. Well, I'm glad our streams can help motivate you to paint a little bit. And I often find the same thing when I'm painting. I often go online and find, somebody who's painting on Twitch, Walter's Workshop, or Tabletop Minions, or... I kind of hope Sam Lynn starts streaming again. I know it's hard for him, but I really like watching him paint. It's very chill. Which is great for just getting me to paint. Okay, let's get some of that green again. What was it? It was this and green skin mixed, right? Yeah. There wasn't much green skin. He says as he 50-50s it. Whoops. Oh well. Nope, looks like more like 60-40. Well, let's mix it and see what happens. Mmm. Look at that deliciousness. Yeah, it looks like I could use some more olive. Slurp. There we go. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And then just get the inside here. Unless this pipe's still going to be brown on the inside. But we're going to shove that way back in there so it just looks like a gooey pipe, because it's going to be pouring out of there onto the ground. Now, Nurgle approved. Yeah, I'm not going for Nurgle toxic waste, although, I mean, it is obviously very Nurgling green, right? It's very telling that my Nurgling that I have painted here, sorry, my Poxwalker that I have painted here is the upsetting flesh-colored Poxwalker. But he loves this place. This is his favorite swimming pool on the Citadel. Oops. Got some green paint on my brown. Ooh, boy, that's not good. Not sure what happened there. Brown. There we go. Brown. Just really spread it around here to get this back to brown. And then kind of almost wet blending the brown here, so it's got this sickly color, but not totally. Got 100 of those. Oh, yeah. I don't play Nurgle. It is unfortunately my least favorite color god. My least favorite chaos god. Which is a shame, because I like green. Alright, so we're going to take this rainforest, because it's more desaturated, and we're going to kind of like start blending it with our existing green here around the edges. Because this way, it's like this is the edges of the stuff. That might be too big a jump, we will see. Right now we're just putting down a very rough, just putting down, very rough coat, because we're going to blend this later. Can I guess your favorite? Definitely... Oh, I was going to make the joke about the 5th Chaos God, but I can't remember his name. Malice? Now, this is shadowed, so I actually don't want to, don't want to put it underneath there, and probably shouldn't. So we'll put a few coats of this on here to make it nice and bright around the edges, and then we will feather it in between with our dry brush. Which I probably won't finish today, but... And unfortunately, like, I know that a lot of streamers have projects that they keep for their streams, but when I get a roll on something, I tend to get so excited that it's hard for me not just to complain, you know, keep going off camera. Even though what I should do off camera is the really boring stuff, like dry brushing gray. There we go. And of course I'll have to clean up those browns later. That's very easy. Again, could this all be accomplished faster and probably better with airbrush? Yep, but I don't know, something really cool about doing it like this. Something really fun, therapeutic about doing it like this, just kind of painting around all the edges, although... No control. Alright. And then we also want, in the middle, to be an even darker green. Something that says this is deadly. So let's try a little bit of this. Uh-oh, that's... You need to be vortexed. Downshift! There we go. The pool now looks like it has a face. You should put googly eyes on the two barrels close to the pipe. Oh my gosh, you're right. Boop, boop, boop. Oh no, he's doing the Poggers face. I can't have that. That needs a little bit of yuck into it. That's a little too emeraldy. Yeah, that's not quite what I was looking for. That's blind water green. What else have I got? What else have I got? Well, I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, is the problem. Might have to go with... something with olive in it is probably what I should be doing. But I want to keep the toxicity vibe. And I feel like that doesn't keep it. Nope, that's not dark enough. But it's fine. Just spread this out. I don't know why I'm using my small brush for this. And we'll let that dry, and then we'll try again. Don't want to tear up the paint too badly, but that's not what I'm looking for. There we go. And we'll let you dry and try again. Okay. I mean, this is that's a good color for the whole pool, honestly, but... but not a good color for what I want in the middle there, which the problem is I don't know what I want, right? And I have, I'm not getting into the discourse, but the whole mind's eye thing. I have difficulty seeing colors on things in my mind's eye. I need to see it on the thing, or it doesn't make sense to me. How about... How about for a krill black green? What about Midnight Olive? Maybe put some of that on my palette and see what happens. We've got all these greens here. Do I just need to go with that one? Is that my solution? Has been staring in the face the whole time? Well, Pro Krill Black Green is kind of that, which I do like. Whereas Midnight Olive is kind of that. See, that I don't like because that is just desaturated and it loses all the gross. So the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. I kind of find it baffling I don't have that proper gross green. 1 second. Oh, tequila, you make me happy. No? No. Well, I went to check if I had a green in the Games Workshop Milo, whatever, world that I wanted, but it wasn't any of that. Emerald, no, again. Man, I just have a lack of, apparently, I have a lack of gross greens, which I kind of understand why, because I don't paint Nurgle. If I painted Nurgle, I'd probably have a lot of these. The fact that I don't, what about blighted green? It's got, oh, that's more of a, it says deep green, but Lord knows I've got like 14 other. I mean, there's Immortal Black and Coal Black from P3, which I do like their paints. Let's try the Blighted Green, which is, I have a feeling more of an emerald than I want. Yeah, it's more of an emerald. It's fine, it's fine. Let's feather this out again. Anyway, you can see what we're going for here. I don't really see images ahead, and yet my brain still managed to process imagining colors anyway, weirdly enough. I can imagine colors, I can't imagine colors on things. Well, on a bit of a cliffhanger, that's where we're going to leave it. I'll come back to you next time with my greens figured out, I hope. Obviously, this doesn't look good right now, right? This looks kind of... Okay, actually, you know what I'm going to say, to be honest, it looks way better on camera than it does in real life. In real life, this looks like not great. Looks way too harsh. We've got to fade this all in, and we're going to, but we'll do that next time. So, I'm going to go record the Sunday rundown with Mitchell here in just a second. That'll be up in a couple hours when you want to see whatever Games Workshop released today. Otherwise, as always, thank you for watching. Check out our Discord link below if you want to keep chatting on our off time. If you want to support the channel out of YouTube, we have our Patreon up, and we really appreciate everybody who watches and comments and all that good stuff. One last message. Jenna Grouse says, clearly you have to buy more paints. I mean, yeah. That's why we do that. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great day. If you are in a part of the world that's about to get very hot or has been very hot, keep cool and or stay cool. I will see you all later.